Hello StarCraft fans, I am back with another cast for you. This is going to be BlueSteel, the red Zerg down at the bottom, versus Bicuspidvalv, the blue toss up at the top, who I have with me this evening, co-casting. There he is, it's Bicuspidvalv himself who's going to talk us through the style in this game. I've mucked about with the sound settings, and that pylon warping in was deafening. I don't know how it was for you guys, but I am going to have to change that. That's going to put our game slightly out of sync, but that's all going to be okay. So which map is this? Is it Orbital Shipyard again? Everybody always plays everything in Orbital Shipyard, but that's all right. Bicuspidvalv up at the top, going for a pretty standard opening. Down at the bottom we have BlueSteel. Right here is not building anything just yet, just workers, but this pool is about to go down before the hatchery. So, Bicuspidvalv, did you have a plan?
Yes, I believe you picked it up on one of my early games. It's the so far dominating strategy of build an army. It's
I like that.
Yet to fail me in a tournament game, actually.
Well, yeah, that's strong talk from Bicuspidvalv, isn't it? So we've got the forge coming down. Does like an early forge, is that the case? Yeah. And over here for BlueSteel, this pool is going to finish up shortly. BlueSteel does have a couple of workers in gas, so presumably we're going to see some fairly fast speed upgrades. The expand coming down here for BlueSteel as well, and a couple of lings in production, presumably that he's just going to do a little bit of scouting. Bicuspidvalv we can see making his way across the map with this scouting probe.
Scouting? Are you proud? I did scouting.
I am proud, yeah.
Yeah.
It's catching on, this scouting lark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Knowledge is power. These oh no, they've run straight past that. I was just about to say these two Zerglings can intercept this worker and prevent him from seeing much, but to be honest, at present very little to see. Tim, did you click on the gas when you sent the worker in?
No, I didn't.
A little scouting tip: if you click on a gas extractor, you can see how much has been mined from it. So they start with 2000, so you can tell how long it's been up and mining for, so you can tell whether your opponent went for really early gas.
This is quite good. The Zerglings get to my base, wait for about 2 seconds, and in that 2 seconds, the photon cannon finishes building.
Yeah.
And then they die.
Yeah, so if they'd have been able to run straight in, they might have well have got in. Although an adept makes pretty short work of Zerglings.
Yeah, the adept was finishing up.
Mothership core out here as well, so in a reasonably good defensive position.
Thank you.
Oh, why am I'm looking at just an empty bit of map at present. That's not what the viewers want to see. Meanwhile, over in BlueSteel's base, did get that hatch up nice and early, but has not saturated it. Neither is the men saturated. Has definitely taken his finger off the worker production button a little bit. He's building just, I don't know if he can't decide what to go for, but the roach warren is coming down, as is the benring nest, as is the evo chamber. So all sorts of tech sprouting from him. Meanwhile, Tim, you've got the robo facility just coming up on halfway.
Do you love that robo?
Yeah, man, Immortals are boss, aren't they?
Immortals are seriously boss.
And plus
and
one
observers.
Weapons. Plus one weapon, pretty common upgrade against Zerg. If you were playing against Terran as the Protoss, you'd obviously go plus one armor first. But against the Zerg, yeah, plus one weapons is a good idea. It actually makes a huge difference to how quickly Zealots can kill a Ling.
That's
because I think it changes it from 3 hits to 2 hits. So it's effectively 50% more damage.
Ooh, there's some. Oh, this is quite painful actually.
Yeah,
I remember this bit.
Warping in here, some Benrings just got ready. I still need to turn the stupid volume down.
Gets the banelings up and get the. See, they're sitting there for quite a while.
Yeah, they are.
In
I think our
fairness, they
games
do
might
just
be out of
get.
sync now, Tim. We had some problems joint kind of viewing the replay because of the StarCraft patch. So we're actually watching separate replays of the same game. And I think Tim is about 4 or 5 seconds out. Well, there you go. And, run away!
I am quite a lot ahead of you. So, hang on, tell me when you get to 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm 10 seconds away from that. So
Right.
those Benlings seen off pretty easily. Now I noticed there is an Overlord here, and the Zerg player BlueSteel does have an Evo chamber, so he can mutate this Overlord so that it can carry those units. I was supposed to tell you, wasn't I? I'm at 507 now. Do you want me to pause?
Yep. No, I've got the same time as you now, pretty
I'm
much.
at 510.
Yep.
Okay. Mm. So yeah, I'd really like to see that, because these Lings, Benlings loaded up into that Overlord.
Now
could
watch
just
the Immortal here. This is
stroll
quite funny.
Into the
In go the Banelings.
oh,
Yep.
Immortal also pops the shield and takes no damage whatsoever.
That's quite funny. Because I didn't even realise it had done it, because I just set the rally pointer down the base, and then I just looked back, and there was a load of dead Zerg.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Immortal auto-casts barrier by default. Now, if you've actually got a lot of Immortals and you're going up for engagement, it's very common to cancel the auto-cast and start to do the pop the barrier straight away the first little bit of damage it takes. If that's set to auto-cast, it's very easy. Just, say you're playing against a handful of Marines, for just one of them to pop off a couple of rounds at your Immortal, and it pops the barrier, and they just wait for the barrier to go, and then in for the kill. So quite common to disable auto-casting on that. But it has its uses.
Yeah, only 2 seconds.
Yeah. So the Zerg third hatch is done. The observer sees all. I'm just going to flick it onto the views of the respective players, so you can see that BlueSteel knows very little, sees the 2 cannons. I don't know if he actually clocked what those 2 buildings were, but doesn't really know much about what's going on. Bicuspidvalv, you can see that actually the observer in the centre there sees all of the tech structures. And if you're looking carefully, you can tell which ones are doing upgrades by whether or not they're kind of, what's the word? Not vibrating, sort of going yit.
Pulsing?
I suppose so, pulsating. That's the sucker. That's what organic structures do, isn't it? They pulsate.
Ooh.
Right, so in the production tab, both players reasonably busy. BlueSteel with the Spire going down against a player like Bicuspidvalv. The Spire is probably a very useful thing. No blink upgrade on these stalkers. In fact, going for charge first. So a handful of mutas in round the back could do a serious amount of damage. I noticed that BlueSteel still hasn't saturated these 2 bases, so up to 3 bases, but you do need to saturate with workers. The handy little counter on the hatcheries tells you, this is only 12 of 16, and stuff like that does make a difference. If I just hit Control I, we look at the mineral income, you can see that actually the mineral incomes are very, very similar, despite the fact that Bicuspidvalv does not have a 3rd base up yet. Okay, where are we at? So upgrades are flying. The Evo Chambers researching has already finished +1 ranged attack and is now working on +1 melee attack. Hit up the army supply, we can see it's 49 to 41, just in favour of the Zerg. What's the composition here? The Protoss army, we do have a couple of adepts. Quite a few zealots, couple of stalkers. Would you say that's pretty standard?
That's certainly a standard of what I did at the time. I have modified my army build slightly since then.
Yeah? Do you switch it up at all, map to map?
Not usually. Usually it depends how I'm going in terms of army. If I feel the opponent's going quite defensive, I'll try and go for a more tech-heavy army.
Yeah.
And if I'm getting rushed a lot, then I'll try and just build stuff and end the game then.
Yeah.
Usually, when I can. So yeah, if I'm getting sort of harassed a lot, I'll just build more basic units.
Yeah.
Just go for full Zealot plus Stalker rush, which is quite a fun thing to do.
Another Immortal coming out. These 3 Archons are serious damage dealers. If you look at those do 39 damage against biological. All Zerg units are biological. And they can do that against air as well. They also do splash in a straight line.
Oh, is it straight line splash?
Yeah.
I wondered how that worked.
Yeah.
Does that work against air then? Just anything in the line for the air?
Yeah. So they're brilliant against Mutalisks. Mutalisks clump terribly. and 3 Archons will destroy a huge pack of Mutalists, literally an absurd pack of Mutalists. If you look at the health in an Archon, it only has 10 health, but it has a ridiculous 350 shields. So it can take an absolute pounding. That compares, that's almost a building amount of damage that an Archon can soak up, isn't it? It can actually soak up almost as many hits as a pylon. Which is pretty impressive.
But it's got more shields than Photon Cannon has HP total.
Yeah. So it's a pretty badass unit, all things considered. Very, very good against things like Lings. Will just destroy Lings. Very good against tanking damage. Immortals are brilliant at tanking. Immortals, if we look at the damage they do, they get a bonus damage versus armoured. So actually their damage 22, but is 55 against armoured units. So if we look at the Zerg composition, we see quite a few roaches. Immortals are brilliant against roaches because they do that bonus damage. 3 is the magic number. 3 Immortals one-shots a roach. And there are indeed 3.
I do indeed have 3, which is a complete coincidence. But
since they nerfed Colossus so much, it's very common though for Protoss armies to just be really immortal heavy these days. Now the Zerg, I kind of get the impression from the Zerg build that he didn't have anything clear in mind, and he's just built loads of everything. Peaking at the army supply, it is 77 to 109 for the Protoss now. So that's quite a significant difference.
Go Protoss.
Which button do I press for upgrades? Yeah, it's that one. So the Protoss is +1 air, +1 ground, and +1 shields. The Zerg is +2 melee, +1 ranged, and no carapace upgrades though, no armor, but is working on flyer attack. I also noticed the Zerg army is kind of not positioned for anything. They're just clustered around these hatcheries. So when this Protoss army hits, the Zerg, the last thing he wants to do is turn up piecemeal. Right, talk us through it, Tim. What's about that?
Right. Okay, I am about to press A and then right-click into his base, which, that is pretty much the sum total of my micro skills at the moment. It does work, though. Primarily due to having a lot more stuff than him, I think. Archons. Yeah.
It does work.
It does work.
That's substantial advantage. And now you see what I was talking about. The Zerg stuff has turned up like chunk by chunk, which is the worst type of engagement. So
it's chunk by chunk.
Really needed to pull all this stuff together. Needed to have an overlord on the map so that you knew that this was coming with the right concave, efficient trades. He did have pretty good upgrades. So it's efficient trading and the right concave setup and a little bit of micro. He could have traded efficiently as it is. I don't think the Protoss army really lost a unit, or if it did, it really lost a couple.
I did just lose a war prison, which for some reason was hanging on. I don't know why that was there.
By the way, if you just hit Control R, that pops up here.
Ooh, that's good. Oh my, that's not good.
So 16 units killed by the Zerg. GG while we're still in this game is over. GG.
I think, bearing in mind, Gabriel was quite ill for this game. Which I think one of the reasons he wasn't terribly ill.
Yeah, he did say he's struggling to concentrate and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
You can see by the way he's macroed up that he's a reasonable player.
That was why he hasn't done GG yet, because these Zerglings heading towards my base. This was his last ditch attempt. Unfortunately, they run straight into 3 photon cannons.
Yeah, those cannons.
Yeah, I think he surrenders pretty soon after that.
Yeah, that's the GG.
It's the GG.
Well, there it is. GG, folks. GG. Yeah, man. So game 2 is going to have to wait a little while because I've just been invited to play some 2v2 with FNA, and we do have in fact a standing Thursday night dead. So I'm going to go and do that. You never know, I might be later on tonight I might well cast another game. If you're still about, Tim, I'll invite you back for game 2.
Yep, let's do that.
Till then, GG, man.
Till then, bye.